first. We'll talk about 5.6, and the three features we want to talk about are easy REST, content tagging, and basically staying modern, what it means to do a major release. So easy REST. What's REST all about? It's a handy way to connect to Magnolia. And in most RFPs, we see these big diagrams that people put together of their whole infrastructure. And at some point, somewhere in there is Magnolia. And Magnolia needs to connect to the other pieces of somebody's system. And we'll come back to that later when we talk more about headless and hybrid headless. So what's new in 5.6? We have released a new delivery endpoint. So it's all about letting people get content from Magnolia in a really easy way. It's fast to set up. You can do it with light development, as I'll show you. It's flexible and configurable, which is something that we have over some of our competitors where it's not so configurable, and it's very performant. So if you can see this diagram on the bottom, this basically shows how people use Magnolia when they're using the REST endpoint. So you've got your content creators on the left, still creating content with content apps and so forth. It's being stored in the content repository, and it's being accessed via APIs. So that's really the key thing that the REST is providing and the delivery endpoint is providing, is nice access to Magnolia via API. So let's take a look at how that works. So as I mentioned, you can use light development to configure an endpoint, and it can be very, very slim. So here's the definition of my endpoint. I'd basically just say the things you would expect: which workspace I want to have access to, which node types I want to give access to, and then I can configure it. So I can not include system properties. I can limit how many items are going to be returned. So let's take a look at what we get then. So you saw we accessed the tours workspace. And here's the URL. So it's just as easy simply by hitting this URL with this convention.rest delivery, and then here's the name. I've given that endpoint, tours. Now I'm getting all of that content that's in the tours workspace that we normally see on the website via really nicely formatted REST. So I just want to point out that it's in a really clean format. All the properties and nodes are right there for you by name. And then we can do a lot more with it. So let's look at some things we can do. So that was getting all the tours, but I can also, just by adding the path of a tour at the end, now I've just added this path of Magnolia Travels Kyoto, one of the tours. Now I get all the information for that tour. And I can also do, just with the URL, I can do a full text search. Here I'm searching on island. You probably can't see it up here, but I just said $Q equals island. And now I'm just getting all the tours that have island somewhere in the text. And then I can I can filter on certain properties, and one of those properties I can filter on is tags, the new tags. So if I say and mgnl tags equals city, now I'm getting all of the tours that have island in the text and have city in the tags. So it's out of the box, it's super powerful. Front-end developers can get exactly what they want. Now let's take a look at this in action. So what I want to show you now is something called the Tour Finder. It's going to be in the demo, and this thing is running completely off of the REST endpoints. So it shows me all the tours that have island filtered, and then I can filter it further. Let's look for all the tours that say have island and are in Asia. So it's two tours found, and then I can further look for like a cultural tour. So that's the REST endpoint in action. Let's see if there's anything. Oh yeah, I just want to mention one other feature. So one of the things that can be quite problematic when you're dealing with REST is when you have content that's coming from different content apps. So in the Tours app, we link to other things. We link to tour types. We link to destinations. And if you look at the response, we only have a UUID of what we're linking to, which is not very useful if we're trying to render an icon or something like that. So what's nice is that in the configuration of the endpoint itself, we can configure, let's see, what's that? It's called a reference resolver, and we can say which other apps it should pull content from directly. So now that that's activated, if I go back and make that query again, instead of that UUID that you have there, it's actually going to include all of the information about that comes from that linked content. So I get everything about the tour types and everything about the destinations directly in line, which is super handy then as a front-end developer to use the content.
Okay, so in Magnolia 5.6, we also delivered something called content tags. And I'll explain to you first what tags are, how they are different from categories, and then I'll show you 3 examples of the kind of things that they enable you to do. So tags are short keywords about content. As such, they're nothing revolutionary. Every system has tags, but they're an important enabler feature, things you can do once you have tags. We paid special attention to making it light and quick to apply tags. So the user experience is really polished. You can use just your keyboard if you want to select a few items, hit a keyboard shortcut and apply tags. You can have the system autocomplete tags as you type. It suggests from existing known strings. You can either apply tags ad hoc as you feel, or you can have a predefined set of them, much like categories do. You can patch tag multiple items, and you can tag any item that is managed in a content app as long as you configure it as taggable. And in the product, we have tags enabled in the Tours app. So let's go have a look what they look like. You may have poked around 5.6 already and seen what the tags are. So here in the Tours app, the existing content is tagged. There's a new tags column that shows a few keywords about those content items. So for example, the Vietnam tour is tagged as exotic food, West Coast Highway as history and drive. And the way you operate with tags is you select a few items and hit a keyboard, in this case T like tags, and it opens this dialog where you start entering new tags. Here you can delete the existing, and it suggests as I start typing the tags that match from the repository. You can choose multiple items. Let's choose a couple of items that have a common tag. The Delhi tour also has the tag food and Taste of Malaysia. Now the system shows the tags that are common to all those items. And in addition to what you see here, we've also provided a tags app here in the tools group that shows all the tags that the system knows about. And where those tags are used, you can anytime show me the tagged content and see which tours are tagged that way. Now this tags app is more of an administrative tool. The idea is that you use tags as an author in a very ad hoc manner. You come up with new tags when you need them just on the spot. Select a few items and quickly tag a few items. And the examples where we imagine tags being used are, first of all, in personalization. The idea is that you probably already have existing content items that are relevant to a particular visitor or segment of visitors. So instead of having to create new content for this target audience, choose groupings of the existing contents. Like we have in the product, we have a long list of tours. Let's say somebody is interested in beach tours. Select a few beach tours and tag them beach. And now you can have a component on the site target that personalized relevant grouping of content to the particular visitor segment. I encourage you to watch the video where Tom goes on the beach that we did together with the marketing team, where this particular scenario is explained really nicely. The second use case example is periodic campaigns. You can promote a particular set of your content, such as products, depending on seasonality or trendiness. such as right now is the Christmas season. Let's say once the Christmas season comes to an end and you want to have a sale of your Christmas products, why don't you tag a few of them as sale and have a component on the site automatically display anything that has the tag sale. Once that season ends, and let's say you come to the end of the winter season, remove the sale tag from the Christmas items, tag the winter sports items, and now the same component, without you ever touching it, is displaying again relevant content for the season. Same for barbecue season or whatever you can think of. And the third example I have here as a use case is automation. Here the tag is really an enabler. Now that we have tagging capability, we have an API for using tags via Java, and from templating functions, you can build on top of it. We imagine that you might want to tag items automatically, for example. So here's a couple of ideas. Here's an example of a seasonality. I have some products in my imaginary shop, and I've tagged a few of them as sale because Christmas is coming to an end, and maybe a teaser group component on the site depends on that tag, acts based on that tag and displays relevant content. Here is another very similar example. Some TV shows, let's say that you tag the ones that have the same genre, like the ones that are about Scandinavian noir, Nordic noir, and then again a component may display content that is tagged in a similar way. It's a very slick, reusable way to display content. Here's an example that we'd like to build soon. Let's say that you're uploading an asset into the DAM. Why not have the system recognize what the image is about and suggest a few tags for it? Like here, I'm uploading a picture of a tiger swimming. So I can imagine that the system would identify what's in the image through image recognition and suggest a few relevant tags. Okay, the other reason for making major releases typically is that we want to stay modern. When a major release comes, it's an opportunity for us to break things, to upgrade libraries, to upgrade APIs, and this is what we've done with Magnolia 5.6. We've upgraded to Vaadin 8, which lays the way for us to do a visual redesign in the next year. We've removed the old content API from almost all of our own modules. This API was already deprecated in 4.5, but now we've managed to remove most of it. We've introduced something called Bill of Materials for third-party modules. Bill of Materials is like the ingredients list in food packaging. It tells you what is in this package. And it's a good practice for both us and for the clients that you can look at a single list of which are the third-party libraries that Magnolia includes. If there's, for example, a vulnerability or problem in one of the libraries, it's very easy to see which products it impacts. We upgraded the Apache log for J, which brings performance improvements to logging. And we rewrote and recomposed the publishing function. It's now called publishing. It replaces the old activation. It's more maintainable. It's split into smaller modules that are function specific. So a major release is about staying modern. It gives us an opportunity to break things a little bit, to upgrade libraries, and to move forward.